Our story doesn't begin in the lands between. It begins in the cosmos, far away, with an outer god called the Greater Will. There are a lot of outer gods
We know that
in
weapon.
Elden Ring. You can think of these kind of like the Great Ones of Bloodborne. They're distant.
I don't know what the Great Ones of Bloodborne are. Stop! But there are 6 outer gods. Okay.
Beings. They're all powerful and they're quite unknowable by design. But many of these outer gods want to make their presence felt in the world. The Greater Will, maybe most of all. To this end, it sent a golden star hurtling towards the lands between. The Elden Star's incantation tells us that this golden star was bearing a beast, an Elden beast.
Okay.
The Elden Remembrance calls it a vassal beast of the Greater Will. If you didn't know, a vassal is someone who holds land on behalf of their overlord. Obviously, this is fitting in this case, because the Elden Beast occupied the lands between on behalf of the Greater Will, and was a living incarnation of...
Hang on, it occupied the lands on behalf of the Greater Will. Do we know whom's the Greater Will is? Or not? Am I supposed to know who the Greater Will is or not? He's got a lovely voice so far. Not exactly. Thank you, CM. I think you're right.
The concept of order. As such, this beast would
I recognize that helmet.
The Elden Ring. The Elden Ring itself
Some
is
nebulous
made up of
deity,
runes of power. Some great, some small, that together represent a sort of logic for the world to follow. Thus,
so
the Elden
pretty.
Ring represents order. The true nature of this order is a subject of
gold
constant
masks,
debate
which I
and
didn't get to
research
do. That makes me
undergone by
bummed.
fundamentalists. But 2 of the key fundamentals are the laws of causality and regression. You can think of the law of causality as cause and effect, where actions
so
have
weird seeing the
consequences, and
summons.
those consequences are new causes that branch out into infinity. These are the relationships between things. Then there's the law of regression that states that all things eternally yearn to converge and return to their roots. Fittingly, then, the Elden Ring is housed within the Erd Tree, which towers over the lands between. But it's very important to stress that life in the lands between did not begin with the Erd Tree, the Elden Ring, or the Elden Beast.
Okay.
No, the lands between were occupied well before the Greater Will came. There were other beings here.
How does he know all this? Is this all like stuff that he is able to glean from reading lore in the game? Or like is there some other way that he's gathered this information? Yeah, basically, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There were other factions here. There were other gods here. And there was even another great tree here before the Erd Tree.
Okay.
And this is where a huge twist regarding the Erd Tree
Is the
comes
Erd Tree
in.
like a parasite?
So, there are incantations in the game called aspects of the Crucible. According to their descriptions, these are manifestations of the Erd Tree's primal vital energies. And I quote, they are an...
Sorry, I know I keep on pausing this. 2 things. 1, I turned the captions on. Is it helpful for you guys to have captions or not? 2, it's so weird seeing people use like incantations and stuff, because I've barely watched like anyone else's playthrough of Elden Ring because I didn't want to be spoiled on anything. So my only like experience with the game is practically anything that I've achieved, or like when I've been hanging out or lurking in people's streams if they're in like a position that I know is ahead of me. So seeing the person with the tail come out, I was like, oh my god, it's like I recognize this. Of the few things in this video he later came to change his mind about, one of which I think is the idea of the Erd Tree being a parasite. It's seeming like the Erd Tree is a parasite, but you're saying that's not what he thinks yet, or that he will change it.
Aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together. But how could all life be blended together in the Erd Tree if the Erd Tree appeared after life existed? Well, there can only be one answer, right? That the Erd Tree is a parasite.
Okay, so that is what he's
implying. It took over a tree
implying.
that existed here before.
But you're saying that he may not think that
This
anymore.
ancient tree was called the Great Tree. So the Great Tree was almost certainly the location of this primordial crucible, and
Okay.
it must have been a very powerful primordial force for the Greater Will to have commandeered. It might even be the reason the lands between is important to the Greater Will in the first place. It also explains why spells and enemies related to the Great Tree's crucible would eventually be looked down upon. For example, the knot talisman is fashioned from a knotted vestige of the crucible, and it was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced.
Okay.
Enemies related to the
I
crucible
don't think I got that
are the
talisman.
Omen, the Misbegotten, and the Crucible Knights, and
Also,
all three of them.
Sorry, how does he get in-game footage that is this beautiful? What the hell has he done to get footage this lovely? Oh, it's all modded. Okay. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I've made way too many thumbnails. I've made 76 thumbnails of this game. Trust and believe. If I could get a shot this beautiful and clean, the thumbnails would have been popping. I was going to say the graphics card gotta be expensive. You can hear that PC whirring from over here. I don't know where this person's based, but I can hear that PC. Yeah, he's got a 6090. Okay, sorry, God.
Would be shunned, enslaved, or imprisoned. Those who speak for the Erd Tree don't want you to know its roots, so to speak. According to the spell, protection of the Erd Tree, in the beginning everything was in opposition to the Erd Tree, but through countless victories in war, it became the embodiment of order.
In Marika's own words,
I think she's so gorgeous.
The Erd Tree governs all. The choice is thine. Become one with the order, or divest thyself of it, to wallow at the fringes, a powerless upstart.
But the Greater Will needed more than a big tree.
Oh, I hate
it
whatever the
needed
hell that is.
Loyal agents in the lands between. To this end, it has the Two Fingers, who are its envoys. The Two Fingers heirloom has a weird picture of them, but it reads, Of course, fingers cannot speak, yet these are eloquent. Persistently they wriggle, spelling out mysteries in the air. Thus did we gain the words of our faith. These words are interpreted by the finger readers. These are the undying old crones that you would have found throughout the lands between. They pass down the wisdom of the Two Fingers.
So they interpret,
or at least they used to,
the will of the Two Fingers.
Please, your fingers. I can read them.
Most of them appear to have lost their purpose, and they're desperate to read your fingers and tell you annoying riddles, since their two fingers are likely dead.
So when they say read your two fingers, it would be like as if someone was a palm reader, right? Where they're like, show me your two fingers and I'll interpret whatever the will is of the two fingers through your two fingers. I think I'm understanding that correctly. Yeah, something like that. Okay.
And yes, of course, there are multiple sets of Two Fingers. You would have found their corpses on the tops of the divine towers. Atop these towers, you loot the fingers in order to activate the true power of a great rune. Specifically though, you are giving benediction back to your great rune. You're taking a blessing back from the two dead fingers, essentially. This is just one of many blessings that the two fingers can bestow, and my point is kind of that the two fingers clearly have more than just influence. They have real power on some level. The Greater Will needs these powerful envoys and agents because, while it's obviously incredibly powerful, it does seem limited by a few things. First is space. The Greater Will didn't come to the lands between itself, it sent an Elden beast to do its bidding instead. Second is time. There is a moment later in the game where your pair of two fingers go still because they're forced to commune with the Greater Will for God.
Your pair of two fingers. So the two fingers in the where the table, the round table hold. That's our two fingers, I think.
Guidance.
When they are finished, the fingers will again offer their guidance.
Okay.
But thousands, if not tens of thousands, of moons must first pass. No matter for me. But you, how will you ever manage to wait?
So the Greater Will needs a physical manifestation of order. It needs envoys to convey its will, but what it also needs is a god. Introducing Marika the Eternal. I have this utterly enormous mind map of Elden Ring's lore, and
who sent me this link? Whose idea was this? Who did this? How dare you? My mind is only just computed finishing the game. You're gonna do this to me? Not the flashbang mind chart. What in the world, dude? What in tarnation? Is this Vizio? Yo, bro, stop. My man here making me feel like I have an exam tomorrow. I know I'm about to get fucking stressed, dude. I told you he does research, but Jesus Christ. Why do I feel like my boss is about to call on me and I'm severely underprepared? This is what my coworker put together, and instead I've got like an MS Paint thing. It's like I paused it here because I was like, oh, let me try and like maybe even try and read some of this. I can't even read this. So many unreads, bro. Isn't that crazy? An Elden Ring family tree, dude. But it's so, yeah, okay.
There's a reason she's at the center. She's essentially the equivalent of Gwyn from Dark Souls, except unlike Gwyn, Marika didn't just crawl out of the dark and find power. To an extent, it seems like she earned it. We don't know much about her origins, except that she is of the Numen race, which is actually an origin that you can choose in the character selection screen. Numen come from outside the lands between, and are supposed descendants of denizens of another world, long-lived but seldom born. At some point, Marika was chosen.
I assume I can get that weapon. I must do. Also, now I wish I had picked a new. What did I pick?
Long-lived between. Who's in the character selection?
Oh, I must have picked maybe a warrior. The face of Numen, supposed descendants of denizens of another world, long-lived but seldom born.
Screen. Numen come from outside the lands between, and are supposed descendants of denizens of another world.
Same, literally 202 hours in this game. So you're not alone.
Marika was chosen as an Empyrean. What is an Empyrean? Well, an Empyrean is a being chosen by the Fingers as a candidate for godhood. As an Empyrean, Marika received the aid of a shadow to do her bidding. So what is a shadow? Well, it's a wolf, shadow-bound to its Empyrean by the two fingers. Lunar Princess Rani is another example of an Empyrean with a shadow-bound beast. You would have met Blythe. These creatures are the Empyrean's very own shadow. They are completely loyal to their needs and, by definition, incapable of treachery. Marika's shadow was a beast called Malakath. Every Empyrean uses their shadow in different ways, but Marika's sole need of her shadow was as a vessel to lock away destined death. So what is destined death? Well, according to Enya, it's the rune of death.
The rune of death goes by two names. The other is destined death.
We mentioned earlier that the Elden Ring is made up of runes, and at some point, maybe when she was chosen as a god, Marika plucked the rune of death from the Elden Ring. She gave the rune of death to Malakath, her totally loyal shadow, who bore a black blade imbued with this rune. It's kind of genius, really. In a single act, she removed the concept of death from the lands between, while also commanding total control of death through her shadow, who could deliver it at her whim. Now, some of you might be asking, if death is removed from the lands between,
do not do it.
How come I can kill this dog? First off, shame on you. Second, from a lore point of view, that dog isn't really dead. It's simply in the process of its spirit, or its soul, returning to the Erd Tree. Catacomb dungeons, for example, are specifically constructed near the roots of the Great Tree for this reason, so that the Erd Tree can reabsorb their ashes back into it.
So nothing here actually dies? Is that what I'm understanding? Nothing here dies?
This process replaced the concept of a death that you were destined to have. But this random spirit outside of a catacomb dungeon says it best. As another example of this...
Wait, he didn't read it. Okay. Death used to be a thing here until Marika gave her shadow the rune of death, destined death. So now anything in the lands between cannot die. It is not possible for it to die. That's it. And that is until you unleash it to burn the Erd tree. Okay. And that's why we keep on reviving, because nothing here dies. And everything else revives when we set the grace point. Okay. Only you, Java. You died a lot, though. You bastard. And in this undead state makes the Dung Eater so much more miserable. Because he can't actually die and he wants to die. There's a kind of way, but it involves being absorbed into the roots. So hang on. Yeah. Hang on.
But this random spirit outside of a catacomb dungeon says it
And then let me hide this so I can read this.
best.
A proper death means returning to the Erd tree. Have patience until the time comes and the roots call to you. Okay.
Example of this theory, when you kill a major boss, you receive a remembrance of them. These are spirits, and they are hewn into the Erd tree. In this way, thanks to the Erd tree's grace, their spirits are immortalized, in a sense. This new form of death also explains what's happening when you summon spirits.
From ash and return to the Erd tree.
However, some spirits never return to the Erd tree, and they rise within death as corpses or skeletons instead.
Why? Oh, hang on. Come on. To refuse the Erd tree's call to return, to live within death. Sickening. To refuse the Erd tree's call to return, to live within death. So that's kind of what the skeletons are doing, right? They're refusing the call to the Erd tree. Now you understand the jellyfish and her sister. I'm gonna cry. Not the jellyfish and her sister, dude.
So this was the new order. And it's important to stress that it was in this moment, when the rune of death was removed, when destined death was taken, this is when order became the golden order.
The forbidden shadow
Okay.
plucked from the golden order upon its creation.
Specifically, this was Marika's golden order. So not only did she become a god and a vessel for the Elden Ring, she became renowned as Marika the Eternal for her removal of destined death.
Okay.
It was a huge part of her character and her reign as well. However, Marika had more than just death to conquer. She had wars to fight, as the world was occupied by many forces that could threaten her golden order. There was war with the Storm Lord, who likely ruled over Stormvale. And there was a war with the giants, who were masters of a flame that could burn the Erd tree. There was war with the ancient dragons, who incidentally had stones that could twist time and thus slay a god. And finally, there was war brewing with the Carrion royalty, who had previously obeyed laws which contravened the Golden Order. Thus, sort of similar to how the Greater Will needed an Imperium to enforce its will, Marika herself needed someone to wage war. So there was to be a husband, a consort, an Elden Lord. The man chosen was Horalu, a ferocious warrior who became known as the Lord of the Battlefield. His crown was warranted with strength, and while it was for this strength that Marika married him, he was also required to take a vow to conduct himself as a lord. To suppress the ceaseless lust for battle that raged within, Horalu took the beast regent Sarosh upon his back. You'll notice
the beast regent Sarosh, king of the beasts? Question mark? Question mark? That spirit is like what contained his bloodlust, his like battle fury. Yes. Okay. Now, is there somewhere in the game where we would have encountered, lions like this? No, right? It held him back. Okay. That's why he had to remove Sarosh. Okay. Just the one. Okay.
this is another example of a beast being given for the purpose of serving order. Thus, in this moment,
it's kind of like a
he
shadow.
went from being Horalu, warrior, to Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, consort to Queen Marika, and a certified demigod. Godfrey and Marika had three demigod children together. There was Godwyn the Golden, who you saw being killed in the open.
Gosh, it's so weird seeing the black blade in Godwyn's back, because this was shown in the beginning intro, right? But we have so much better understanding and context of this. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like we fucking carried that knife with us for like a majority of the playthrough. And like I know who these assassins look like because one of them was our teammate. Not like that one, just the random ones. The blade strapped to their balls. Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. They do exist, don't they? Godfrey is not from the lands between. He may say where he's from. Okay.
Opening trailer, and there were also the reviled Omen twins,
Yeah,
Morgoth, who guards the Erd Tree, and Moog, who became Lord of Blood. You might think that Godric was another demigod child, but he actually wasn't. Instead, he was probably descended from Godwyn. Anyway, we'll talk about the demigods more in detail in another video, so subscribe for that. But for now, just know that Godfrey and his offspring were the first demigods, henceforth known as the Golden Lineage.
But he's suggesting that
In his wars, Godfrey led his 16 crucible...
He's suggesting that Godwyn was Godfrey's child, but not Godfrey's child with Marika? Question mark, question mark?
...knights into battle, who were named so for they fought with the primordial powers.
Remember
of the Erd
fighting
Tree.
them.
Their incantations were aspects of the Crucible itself, and they likely fought giants, dragons, the Stormlord, and more to usher in their age, the age of the Erd Tree.
Okay.
In Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors. Hark, my Lord Godfrey. We commend your deeds. Guidance hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place ye stand.
Grandkid
Put the giants to the sword
Godwyn is
and confine the flame
okay,
atop
okay.
the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening
Godwyn is
with
Marika and
life.
Godfrey's son, the only one who hasn't messed up.
Brandish the Elden ring for the age of the Erd Tree.
The Erd Tree would go on to be largely...
Sorry, I meant to say Godric. Godric is... Because we don't see... Hang on. Godric the Grafted is related to Godwyn. No, Godfrey, right? Godric is like a great-grandkid. So do we know who Godric's parents are? Oh, he's like a great-great-great-son. Okay, so like really far removed. Godric is Godwyn's son, supposedly. Okay. And which one's the one that got stabbed in the back? No, not Godwyn. Not Godric. Godfrey got stabbed in the back. Yeah, exactly. Maury. Godwyn the Golden got stabbed. So we never saw Godwyn the Golden, right? That was never a character that we interacted with because they would have been dead prior. That's what the whole Black Assassins went to do, right? They went to go assassinate Godwyn, and that will happen prior to our playthrough. Fuck. We saw his body with fear. Godwyn was stabbed by Taiki's assassin family, but we it's just his corpse. Is he the melty face in the floor? Is that his melty face corpse in the floor? Yes. Okay. But we But we didn't get to interact with him like in his glory. Because I take it to be that he was he was like the golden child and they assassinated him. Oh, he didn't die. He just has no soul because nothing dies here. So, but they stabbed him with the blade that has the Black Death in it. So his corpse, his soul died, but not his body. Yeah, golden child, melty face, like same, you know? Jesus Christ!
Seen as a blessing for all of those in the lands between, especially those close to it in Lanedell, the capital city of the Erd Tree. The tree bestowed blessings. For example,
I pronounce
the
it Lendell,
dew
this
that
whole
dropped
bloody
from its
thing.
branches were like jewels. It loomed overhead as a constant reminder of order.
I did Rani's
and
ending.
its
Which one
roots
did you do?
reached far and wide, relieving many of the...
Ah, this is what the Zamra warrior looks like up close. Again, it's so crazy. I don't know if anyone else is like this and if this will make sense, but sometimes when I'm playing games, you have such like you're so focused. You don't see the leaves from the trees. Does that make sense? When you're playing video games, you're focused on the trees, but as a Twitch viewer or like if you're watching people play video games, you're able to see like the leaves from the trees, you know what I mean? So it's weird looking back at some of this stuff, and I know it's camera mod, so like it looks a lot better, but it's weird looking back at it and go, oh, because I'm actually not focused on like fighting for my fucking life, I can now like look and appreciate what this looks like. I saw it standing for a second. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I saw the bracelet. I was like, oh, I know what this is, because we wore the bracelet. And I was like, oh my god, this is what one of the Zama warrior looks like. And it's awesome. It's so cool. Vaati has an art book. I want to buy that. That sounds awesome.
The burden of death. In fact, Erd Tree burial was one of the highest honors a hero could receive. One by one, the previous factions...
So the Black Blade was designed to kill a god, body and soul. However, Rani cunningly broke the blade and used it to kill her body, ostensibly so she can choose a new body not bound to the Great Will Erd Tree, whilst the Black Knives, unbeknownst to them, killed his soul. Thus she exists as a soul and Godwyn exists as a body. Okay. Yes, Red. Ask me. I'm sure I will have the answer. What takes less to unpack? Elden Ring or childhood trauma?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
What takes less to unpack? Elden Ring or childhood trauma? Fantastic question. I think the main difference here is that I actually have to pay Liz each time to unpack trauma, whilst Elden Ring unpacking's free. It's got that going for it. Godwyn became known as a Prince of Death. The fish thing, the Prince of Death. Okay. I know more about Knight of Black Knives than World War I. Yeah, you go to take your test. Yeah. So actually it was Taiki, right? Taiki, the Black Knife assassin, is the one who assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and that's what kicked off World War I. I've just told you. There you go. That's all you need to know about it. Well, there are multiple types of being dead than just two. Godwyn is actually at fault for the undead, or rather his state is what's causing it. A tarnished is like the opposite. As long as they have the guidance of grace, they won't die. Tarnished are dead, but with a soul, so they stand up again. Regular citizens go to the Erd Tree.
of the world fell. The giants were put to the sword, and their fell god was killed by Marika.
Why don't these giants have tummies? Why are their tummies empty? Except to make it really fucking annoying when you're fighting it, because your sword just pokes into like thin air. I want the lore video on these things, alright? I want to make like a obscure Elden Ring lore video. And if we don't have answers, we just make up answers, you know? He has one. No, he doesn't. It's all vacuous. Their eyes are pulled out. Yuck. Might have had an... Oh, they might have had an eye in there like the fire giant. Jesus Christ. Can we make up something funny instead? Of course, Vaati has a video about it. Damn it.
Herself, the ancient dragons broke down the walls of Lanedell, but met fierce retaliation. However, I think the House of the Erd Tree encountered the most trouble against the land to their southwest, Leonia. Here, the House of the Moon repelled their offensives time and time again. And I mean that literally, because there was not just one, but two wars fought here. And in both of these, there was no victory for the Golden, nor for the Moon. And I suspect it was probably because of these lobsters. These damn things can snipe you from like a mile away, and it's bullshit. Actually, it was probably because of the Carrier Knights, who, according to their weapons, were able to wield sorcerous battle skills, and despite numbering fewer than 20, this power made them a match for even the champions of gold in battle.
It's a beautiful
These enchanted
sword.
knights were anointed by the Lunar Queen, a young astrologer who went on to establish the House of Carrier as royalty in this land. With her bewitching lunar magic, she won over the Academy of Raya Lucaria, where glintstone sorcery was studied, and united the Carrion royal family and the learned scholars of Raya Lucaria defended their home from the golden aggressors. At the head of this great golden army was Radagon.
Lord Radagon was a great champion, possessed of flowing red locks. He came to these lands at the head of a great golden...
Mod. They modded to get this, right? Surely. I like so many of the straight sword designs, but could never bring myself to use one. I used to use the straight swords a lot. What weapon did you end up using? Yeah, they're short, which sucks. Radigan was a bitch. Turtle Pope!
Host, when he met Lady Renala in battle.
These two champions clashed, fell in love,
it's the character
and
design,
joined their
okay.
houses.
Radagon once cleansed himself with celestial dew, repented his territorial aggressions, and swore his love to Renala. The order of the Erdtree and the fate of the moon were conjoined, and all the wounds of war forgiven.
But at this point... At this point, Radigan is not married to Marika. And we know they're the same. But at this point, Radigan was not married to Marika. Radigan came to be. Radigan married Renala. Okay.
You might think it strange that the Greater Will would permit this union, but it's not too odd, all things considered. As with most
The Greater Will. So this is before the Erdtree? They were together before the Erdtree came?
software games, sorcery and faith are just two sides of the same coin, and both of these powers stem from the cosmos. Radagon and Renala were known to have 3 children together. Lunar Princess Rani, who inherited her mother's propensity for lunar magic, Radan, who took after his father Radagon and would go on to master gravitational magic, and Rykard, who pioneered new hex sorceries and would go on to feed himself to a great serpent.
I don't know if I appreciated that Rykard fed himself to the snake. I don't know if I appreciated that. Together. And then, okay. Faith and incantations, that's what each of them represent, right? I think. And so it's like same but different.
It follows that at some point after
Gorgeous.
this,
I want to
Marika
cosplay
began
this.
to harbor doubts. Doubts about the Golden Order that she had had a hand in creating.
In Marika's own words, I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace
Okay,
is
incantations
increased.
versus astrology.
Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My
I
comrades,
agree, Corduchon.
why must ye falter?
And it's at this point that we should talk about Marika's motivations, her character. This is surely going to be one of those huge points of debate in the coming years, but for now, my working theory is that she wanted to discover the truth behind order and the truth behind the greater will, and she believed that bonds had to be broken so that they could be better understood. She believed that there was great meaning to be found in hardship.
Queen Marika has high hopes for us, that we continue to struggle, unto eternity.
For Lord Godfrey, his struggle ended at the end of his campaigns. According to his armor,
Laura.
he led the war against the giants, faced the Storm Lord alone, and then there came a moment when his last worthy enemy fell, and it was then, as the story is told, that the hue of Lord Godfrey's eyes faded. In truth, he was robbed of his grace. Then Marika sent him away.
My lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between. Ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die.
This became known as the Long March of the Tarnished, as Godfrey and his tarnished descendants walked away from the lands between. But Queen Marika absolutely had a plan here, that Lord God.
All Tarnish are descended from Godfrey. She did Doggone bitch move though. She did Godfrey dirty. It seems it. Tarnished are like normal humans, right? And I guess Godfrey was a normal human until Marika had married him and raised him to a demigod status. And she did that because Godfrey could help her control some of the problems, since now in this new order with no death, it increased the problems that also exist in the world. Kinda. Okay. Oh, so maybe it's more just like people that were loyal to him. Godfrey and his warriors. Okay. Jesus Christ. Not all humans are tarnished. Okay.
Godfrey and his descendants would one day return stronger, having struggled outside of grace.
Then, after thy death, I will give back what I once claimed, return to the lands between, wage war, and brandish the Elden ring, grow strong in the face of death. Warriors of my lord, Lord Godfrey.
Soon after, she found a new husband. Either that or a new husband was found for her.
When Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was hounded from the lands between, Radagon left Rennala to return to the Erdtree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king consort, taking the title of Second Elden Lord. The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Radagon would cast Lady Rennala aside, and moreover, why a mere champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord.
Whatever the case, as a part of this union,
Radagon is less remarkable than Godfrey. The insinuation here is that Radagon is a lesser choice to be Elden Lord. For sure, yes. Wait, why for sure? He's just wait, why for sure though? Because he uses, because he's good at. He's not like your big brute force type of person. At the time, it very much seemed that way. He used to just be a champion. Okay. People didn't understand why he was... Yeah, but people didn't understand why he was chosen as consort. She obviously saw something else in him, but the public perception in the lands between, when all of the gossip hits that she had ditched Godfrey and brought on Radagon, is like, yo, she downgraded big time. Yeah, Turtle's big time gossiping. He appeared out of nowhere. Godfrey was a known warrior. So okay, so what happened, what had happened was, map of the lands between, you got all the shit going down in the capital. Everyone knows Godfrey, renowned, great dude, really solid choice. He's gonna help you lock down the lands. And then all the way in the west, you've got Liurnia, and they're like off doing their own fucking thing. Rennala is like, me and this Radagon dude, two sides of the same coin. We harness magic in different kinds of ways. We big chillin'. We having children. And then Marika yoinked Radagon from Rennala. Yeah, Lifebane, you could say that. He's basically a peacetime Elden Lord. Okay. Radagon unified faith and astrology to create fundamentalism. Yeah, Godfrey was a consort for war, Radagon for peace. Okay.
Prior 3 children with Rennala became demigod stepchildren, granted grace thanks to their new family tree.
Okay.
Rennala was broken by this, and so was her country.
No, I haven't
Liurnia.
seen him.
The Queen's set reads, when Rennala, head of both the Academy of Raya Lucaria and the Carian royal family, lost her husband Radagon, her heart went along with him.
Damn.
And then those at the Academy realized that Rennala was no champion after all.
Ugh.
In the wake of Radagon's...
Okay, so Rennala just gets like crazy fucking heartbroken. She was big time in love with Radagon two of them creating some beautiful pun intended magic, all right? Between them, Marika steals home wrecker, whatever. Yoinkies, Renala fucking shattered, cannot keep up. She's just like frozen in time. Big sad. Slamming. Okay.
Betrayal and Renala's poor judgment, Leonia struggled with civil war, with the Academy of Raya Lucaria on one side and the Carrion Royals on the other.
Okay.
And it's here, during the age of the Erd Tree, that Lunar Princess Rani, daughter of Renala and Radagon, stole a fragment of the Rune of Death.
It happened during the golden age of the Erd Tree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring. Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade.
As mentioned previously, Malekith was Marika's shadow, and he had sealed destined death in a black blade. Then a fragment, only a fragment, of this Rune of Death was stolen. And once this happened, Malekith went a step further in protecting destined death. He bound the blade within his own flesh, such that none might rob death ever again. It was too late, however. This fragment of the Rune of Death was used immediately, that night, to kill a demigod, Marika's own son.
So what had happened is Malekith used to exist as Malekith. Malekith used to exist as Malekith in all his glory as is, right? And was the guardian of the Black Blade. At one point, a fragment of the Black Blade was stolen by Rani. Once Malekith realized that a part of the Black Blade was stolen, he was like, fuck, I've got to really protect this. Puts the Black Blade inside him, imbibing the Black Blade, turns him into Gurranq. Or do we think Gurranq is a front? 1. 2, Rani steals the Black Blade because she knows it can kill, kind of, a god. So she used it to get revenge for her mum, who is fucking heartbroken. Gurranq is a front, like Margit. Okay. I think Gurranq is a front, yeah. It's punishment by Marika for losing the fragment. So when he goes like, feed me more death, and he wants the black root, what... Is it because he has death inside him that he wants to eat more death? Almost certainly yes. Okay. Yagal is working overtime to connect the pieces. I'm big time focusing. The death root is from the corpse of Godwyn. Melty face. Yes, Godwyn, Michael, that makes sense.
That was the first recorded death of a demigod in all history, and it became the catalyst. Soon, the Elden Ring was smashed, and thus sprang forth the war known as the Shattering.
Now, there is a lot of really credible evidence that Marika was behind this plot to have a fragment of the Rune of Death stolen. There's also a ton of evidence that Marika is behind the entirety of your Tarnished quest, but we'll talk about that in another video. For now, all you really need to know, in terms of the timeline at least, is this. After the marriage of Marika and Radagon, and after a fragment of the Rune of Death was stolen, Marika went on to shatter the Elden Ring, and Radagon attempted to repair it, to no avail. The Elden Ring had been broken into runes, some great and some small.
You know, it's said that Lord Radagon harbored a secret. A famed sculptor of the Erd Tree capital was once summoned to render Lord Radagon's likeness in giant stature, when he glimpsed the skeleton in Radagon's closet. And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret likeness in giant stature, when he glimpsed the skeleton in Radagon's closet. And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret too.
Of course, the huge twist in Elden Ring is that Radagon is Marika, or depending on what you believe, he became her, for she knew it was going to happen.
In Marika's own words, O Radagon, leal hound of the Golden Order, thou art yet to become me. Thou art yet to become a god. Let us be shattered, both. Mine other self.
You can tell when From Software is keeping something a little bit open-ended, and of everything in Elden Ring's lore, this will also go on to be one of the biggest unknowns as we move forward. For example, the wording, "Thou art yet to become me," reinforces that Marika and Radagon were two separate entities before the shattering. However, in contrast, there is also evidence that Radagon was always part of Marika. For example, Enya says that
The demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika.
but how can this be if Radagon married Renala and had those demigod children? The only way that makes sense is if Radagon was always Marika and he just went over there to seduce Renala long ago. I'll present more concrete theories in the future, but on this matter, the most important thing is, what do you think? While you can figure out a ton of Elden Ring's story, not all of it is open to interpretation. Certain things are, and this is one of them. And your interpretation is a big part of what makes this story special. At any rate, the union of Radagon and Marika seems to be a union of two fundamental opposing laws of the Golden Order. We mentioned these laws earlier, actually. There's the law of causality, and Marika is an agent of cause and effect. And there's the law of regression, as Radagon is a character who aspires to be complete and regress together. So I have a theory that forcing these two beings that represent these concepts together would have corrected Marika's deviance. But even so, she was imprisoned in the Erd Tree for the crime of the shattering.
Marika's trespass demanded a heavy sentence. But even in shackles, she remains a god and the vision's vessel.
The conjoined Radagon and Marika even had two demigod children of their own, Miquella and Millennia. These two children were born afflicted. Miquella was cursed with eternal childhood, and Millennia harbored a horrific rot within. Even so, these two children were both chosen as Empyreans. They were immensely sacred beings, and eligible to inherit godhood from the Greater Will. Perhaps the Greater Will was just desperate to find a worthy successor, and indeed in the Shattering War to come, many would try to claim the shards of the Elden Ring, and they would try to take the throne, including, of course, the Tarnished, who returned from their long march at long last, which we'll talk about in the next main lore video. I should probably also mention here that if you become a patron, you'll see upcoming lore videos.
My brain hurts, dude. Okay. Okay. This is my theory, okay? Recap all of it. I'm going to draw the whole diagram. My theory is, based off of everything we've just learned, I do not think that Radagon was his own person and then met Marika and then the two of them fused together. I think that Radagon was always a separate part of Marika that then returned to Marika because their children together could, in theory, be compared to like children born out of incest currently, right? Because their children, all the other children, like between Radagon and Renala, Marika and Godwyn, are all like normal for the most part. However, the children between Radagon and Marika are both the most exceptional, like the highest beings, but also like kind of fucked up. Right? Because one of them's like always going to be like a child and the other one's got a like terrible sickness, which is like pretty indicative of incest, right? Like a whole bunch of the Victorians had the blood sickness. What do you call it? They had some kind of blood sickness thing. I forget what it's called. So I think Marika... Okay. Because... Okay. Marika had like locked down... If we think split, I'm being like super... I'm leaving it super like sickle cell. Yeah, something like that. I feel like it began with an H. Okay. I'm just gonna divide the map. Hemophilia, something like that. So it has hema something in it. Okay. If I split the map just like east and west, I know it's more, it's like more involved than that, but just like make it easy for my little baby brain moment right now. If the map is divided east and west, Marika and the capital are in the east. And she marries Godwin, and they lock that shit down in wartime and all that shit, right? And then there's like a thriving stuff over in the east, and then Marika's like, I'm supposed to kind of lock down this whole world. I'm not saying Murica, I'm saying Marika. Marika. Marika? Marika. You guys are... You're gaslighting me into thinking I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, so then she's like, I want a piece of the whole pie. Let me woo the woman, Renala, who like holds down the fort in the west. They have their children. Then Marika knows there's a time where she wants to reclaim the rest of the other part of her. And then comes the shattering. Right? Or am I like way off base? This video made me feel like my two brain cells are competing for a third place. Exactly. That's a perfect way to describe it. You were right the first time. Marika. Yeah. Marika. Look, yeah. It's too late on a Sunday for gaslighting. I know, guys, I don't have therapy until Thursday. So they did come together, or they did. I'm saying that they split apart. I think Radigan was always a part of Marika, split off from her because of the way that their children are. Don't you think that makes sense? It's very complicated. Shattering is Marika destroying the Elden Ring on purpose, defying the Golden Will. Radigan tries to repair it. Okay, but isn't... Okay, but hear me out. Isn't Marika is responsible for the Golden Order and the Golden Will, right? So Marika built something and then Marika tore it down? Question mark, is that correct or not? Yes, right? Yes. Okay. Stay with me, chat. Stay with me. So this is what I'm thinking. Marika, one person, splits into two for what I think are devious purposes. I think that she split separately to woo Renala and the West, bring them into the fold, basically. They come back together. Marika realizes there are some issues here and there with the Golden Order, whatever. She tries to break it down, but you know how like people, like in their own mind, they have ways of like pulling things apart and compartmentalizing things. I feel like Radigan survives this and is like trying to repair it because it's like the part of Marika's mind that's like, wait, no, fuck, that was a mistake. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of like the vibe I get. The Golden Order became less perfect than it was originally thought to be. Radagon is a part of the whole that is fighting to maintain order and the things the way that they are. Marika represents the change and wants to subvert growth further. The Golden Order is basically the dynasty created by Marika with the assistance of Godfrey. This dynasty ultimately serves the greater will, which is why she would then want to shatter it, right? Because she doesn't want to serve the greater will. Entirely possible, all because Elden Beast uses Radagon as a puppet and a weapon. It may have been part of Marika controlled by greater will. Jesus. But that's kind of like humans, Chrysalid. You're the same, but you want different things and you split apart. There's a theory about that Marika was cursed by the giants and she split in half, and Radagon is the giant part. I think she was being malicious. You think she was doing it for a good thing. I don't know. All I'm saying is you gotta be really fucking rude and malicious to create a male version of yourself, to then go woo someone, to then leave them with 3 children fucking brokenhearted and never knowing why they left you. I think you just got to be a devious bitch to do something like that. I don't think she could have done it. I don't think she could have had like good intentions doing it. The audacity, exactly. That's some devious, malicious shit. I frankly almost respect it. Except I don't. And Marika's a woman herself, exactly, Courtisan. That's what I think. I think she did it with malicious intention. I think she wanted the whole piece of the pie. She realized she had locked down the east. She wanted to lock down the west. She goes, I know a way to do this. I'm going to win this woman's heart. I'm going to give this woman beautiful children who have issues, but like whatever. And then I'm just gonna like fucking disappear one day. In very ancient Greek lore, the gods are devious and cruel. Exactly, Diane often. That's what I'm saying. I think she's devious. Marika was pulling the strings the entire time, but I don't think she was doing it because she was evil, because she thought it was the only way to overcome the greater will. From what we hear from Rani and Gideon, Marika and Rani were both trying more than anything to give humanity freedom. Freedom from the greater will. Thing is that Marika doesn't control Liurnia. But she did when she was Radagon. And her children are demigods. Jesus Christ.